Hello to all of you beautiful, amazing souls. If you're new around here, hi, my name's Evie. If not, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I want to talk about what it's like having a controversial diagnosis such as dissociative identity disorder in the public healthcare system. Now, I'm specifically going to be focusing on my experience in the Australian public healthcare system because I live in Australia and I've never had to deal with any other public healthcare system. I'm also going to be specifically talking about dissociative identity disorder. However, there are other controversial diagnoses out there that if you have it, you probably can relate. For example, I didn't know this, but apparently ADHD is a controversial diagnosis. I know. Apparently there are heaps of psychiatrists and healthcare professionals that do not believe ADHD is a thing, which I don't understand how that works. I just don't understand how much evidence has to be kind of placed in front of them for them to believe something exists. Because there is a ridiculous amount of evidence that ADHD is a real thing and that dissociative identity disorder is a real thing, including people that have it. Now let's start at the beginning. So when I created this channel back in 2017, I created it because I wanted a space where I could openly share my experience with my mental illnesses, but I specifically focused on maladaptive daydreaming and kind of dissociative episodes that I was having, but I never really spoke openly about having dissociative identity disorder until much later. When I first got the diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder, I was very kind of like, no one can know about this. I didn't tell anyone in my life. I didn't tell any of my family members. None of my friends knew that I had DID. It was something that I solely kept to myself because I didn't feel like it was safe for me to talk about it. However, things happened in the media to do with dissociative identity disorder. It became kind of like a popular topic on social media, especially on TikTok and YouTube, you know. Dissociative identity disorder did get a lot of attention and a lot of negative attention, which kind of made me want to talk about having dissociative identity disorder even less than I did previously. However, after some time I started getting a lot of hate that had nothing to do with dissociative identity disorder, and I learned ways to kind of cope with that hate. And so I figured now that I, was able to deal with that kind of hate, I was going to be able to openly talk about dissociative identity disorder and deal with any backlash that I was gonna get. So when I started talking about having dissociative identity disorder on social media, I fully was ready for any kind of backlash that was going to have on social media. Little did I know that talking about having dissociative identity disorder was going to have a massive impact on how much help I'm able to get by public psychiatrists. If you've been following my journey for a while, then you know that I was an inpatient in a mental health facility last year where the psychiatrist blamed me of faking having dissociative identity disorder. But her main reason for claiming that I was faking having DID was because I spoke about it online. She basically said that I was faking having dissociative identity disorder because I got financial benefits from it because I am monetized on YouTube, so I get money from YouTube, but I barely ever even talked about having dissociative identity disorder. So when I talk about DID, I don't make much money. Like, I make barely anything. So I don't know why she thought that it was just a whole big ordeal. It's so bad, So I never anticipated that talking about having dissociative identity disorder online would have such a negative impact to the care that I was given in real life. That's ridiculous. First of all, the psychiatrist shouldn't have been looking at my social media presence and making assumptions based off of that, because I love you all so much, but there are things that I'm not going to say on here, and there are what happens in my real life isn't necessarily how it's going to be portrayed on social media. So I don't know why she thought she could make an accurate kind of assessment of me based on social media. Yeah, that was But it's all good now, because I was recently referred to a psychiatrist that specializes in trauma disorders, specifically dissociative identity disorder, who is doing a full assessment of me and says that I have dissociative identity disorder. So we can just ignore that other public psychiatrist that doesn't really know what they're talking about. She also kind of like claimed that DID was extremely rare, like so rare to the point that it's impossible that I had it. That doesn't even make sense. Even if it is really, really rare, somebody has to have it. But even though I have been referred to this new private psychiatrist that specializes in dissociative identity disorder, doesn't mean that I'm not ever going to deal with the public healthcare system. The sad part about it is the private psychiatrist that I am getting this new assessment of basically said to me, don't tell any public psychiatrist that you have dissociative identity disorder, because 9 times out of 10 they will not believe you. That is sad, because some of us rely on the public healthcare system to keep us alive. And the fact that I can't reliably rely on the public healthcare system because of a diagnosis that I have is terrifying. And this is the reality of having dissociative identity disorder. Unless you're willing to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, you are stuck in a system that does not know how to help you, okay? And won't help you. I'm gonna say out of 100 psychiatrists, probably 95% of them don't know how to deal with dissociative identity disorder. They don't know how to treat it, they don't know how to recognize it, they don't know how to make accurate assessments. And that is so sad, because dissociative identity disorder isn't as rare as people actually think it is. Now, just because this public psychiatrist says that I don't have dissociative identity disorder doesn't mean I don't have it. Like I've already said, I'm getting this new assessment from this new psychiatrist that specializes in DID, who says I do have it. So I think what I'm wanting to say in this video is, just because a public psychiatrist says something that you don't think is accurate doesn't mean that it's true. Yes, they have years and years and years of medical training, but at the end of the day, you know you better than they could ever know you. If you think that you've been given a diagnosis that isn't accurate, challenge it. You know, bring it up and say, why do you think I have this diagnosis? Get them to actually say in words why they think you meet this criteria, because I have been diagnosed with a disorder that I don't have. You know, I look at the diagnostic criteria that you need to meet to get a diagnosis of it, and I don't even come close to meeting the criteria for this diagnosis that I apparently have, but I was given it based off of assumptions. So if you think you've been given a diagnosis that isn't accurate, ask, why have I been given this diagnosis? Get them to actually explain it and put them on the spot. And know that second opinions are a thing. If you don't believe the treatment that you have been given is correct or working for you, if you don't think the diagnosis you've been given is accurate, then please get a second opinion, because the public healthcare system is ridiculously horrible for giving inaccurate diagnosis, because they just simply do not have the training to give accurate diagnosis. It's so bad. It really is so bad. My new psychiatrist, who's kind of doing the assessment on me, literally is going to give me a novel size, like, piece of document that says why I have dissociative identity disorder, to kind of prove any psychiatrist that tries to challenge it wrong. That's so sad. I shouldn't have to do that, because I meet the criteria being alters with amnesia, but like literally such a small criteria. But I just wanted to make this quick video about, you know, the realities of having DID in the public healthcare system, because I did not anticipate it to be this horrendous. You know, I knew that coming out online and having DID was going to bring hate. Never in a million years did I think that it was going to have effects on me actually getting treatment. So if you're accused of faking having a diagnosis that you most definitely have, please know that you're not alone, and this is a fault that the public healthcare system has, and I'm sure it's not just in Australia that this is experienced, especially when it comes to dissociative identity disorder. This video was very short. I just wanted to make this quick video, but I hope everyone is well, and I love you all so much, and I will see you in my next video.